Hey, well, I guess I made you guys wait long enough. As you probably guessed in the title, this is my top 10 most anticipated games for 2013, brought to you in glorious 1080p. This is my new camera that I told you guys about in the last video. It's first time testing it in 1080p. We'll see how it lasts over the length of this video. From what I've seen, a lot of cameras, as time goes on, they'll start to degrade, which is why it's better to use them at 720. But this is a new camera. Let's see how it works out. Yeah, in my last video I asked you guys to tell me what you guys are anticipating in 2013. So before we get started, let's talk about, well, let's briefly go over some of these games that you guys mentioned which aren't on my list in alphabetical order. Alphabetical order. As usual, my videos are unedited. This is all on the fly because I'm a streamer and I don't do editing. It's record, cut, upload, and that's the way we go. Anarchy Reigns, Platinum Games. Platinum Games makes great games, but it's a generic action game, button masher, hit X to win. Not really interested. Animal Crossing, don't plan on getting a Wii U or Wii, whatever game it's coming out, whatever console it's coming out for. Bayonetta 2, Wii U, not getting a Wii U, so there's that. Charles Barkley, Shut Up and Jam Gaiden 2. I can't believe you guys are making me say this title. Seriously. I played the first game for about an hour. I got bored with it. Didn't continue. I mean, the writing was fun and interesting. I wouldn't say it was good, but I had no inkling to continue playing it. Crisis, another random FPS. Really nice quality, beautiful graphics, probably well programmed like Far Cry 3 was. Don't care. Devil May Cry 3, I won't buy Capcom games. I've gone into this many times in previous videos. I could probably do an entire video about why I won't buy Capcom games, but let's not talk about that now. Dive Kick, seriously, are you guys taking this as a real game? This game is a joke. It was a bad idea when it was announced, and the only thing it has going for it is the fact that it was a interesting, fun idea making fun of Street Fighter, or yeah, Street Fighter. So, you know, that's gone. There's no reason for this game to even come out. Dynasty Warriors Empire 7. I actually really liked Dynasty Warriors 7. I thought it was a great game. I had a lot of fun playing it. I guess if one of my friends buys it, I'll play it, but it's not something I'm really looking forward to. Earth Defense Force, Xbox exclusive. I primarily play PlayStation, so not interested. My Little Pony Fighting is Magic. I gotta admit, this I like the game. It's fun, and I'm a fan of the cartoon. But you know, I'm not looking forward to. Not really like. It's not one of the games where I have to go out and get it. Let's put it that way. Fire Emblem Awakening, I assume that's for the 3DS or the DS or some sort of mobile system. As I alluded to in previous videos, I'm not much of a mobile gamer. If I have a 50-inch TV directly to my left, why am I going to play on a 3-inch screen sitting on my couch? I mean, I just don't see the point of it. I want to play on the big screen, and I don't commute. Well, I don't commute in public transportation, so I'm not really into mobile gaming. Not even on my cell phone. I don't install any games. Fist of the North Star, Ken's Rage 2. Don't care. It's Fist of the North Star, whatever. Fuse, it is just another FPS, I assume, or is it third person? I don't remember. But it's from the guys who do Ratchet and Clank and Resistance. And Resistance is one of the best FPSs I've played this entire generation. So I don't know. Gears of War Judgment. Generally, games that don't have numbers behind them, but it's a sequel, don't turn out too well. So, plus it's Xbox, don't care. God of War Ascension, no number, sequel. Plus, never really cared about God of War either. I mean, it was when the first God of War came out, I felt like this game is already 10 years old, just with nicer graphics. I don't really care. There's nothing new on the table here, and so don't care. Grand Theft Auto 5. I guess Grand Theft Auto 4 was great, but, you know, and I don't like sandbox games. I prefer games that have a set story and I have clear goals. They talk about how Grand Theft Auto 5 is like 10 times larger than Grand Theft Auto 4. You mean that's 10 times more buildings I can drive? Sorry. 10 times more buildings I can drive past and not use at all and not care about. What's the point? Who cares if it's bigger if there's not more to do? And chances are there's not more to do because there was too much to do in Grand Theft Auto 4. It didn't add anything to the game. Injustice Gods Among Us. I didn't like Mortal Kombat 9, and Injustice Gods Among Us looks like the exact same thing, just with DC characters. Whatever. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle Royale. I will get into this later when I talk about my top 10 list. Metal Gear Rising. I like Metal Gear Solid. This is not Metal Gear Solid. Don't care. Phantasy Star Online 2. Another generic MMO. I mean, people can talk about how amazing it is, but I see it and all I see is generic MMO. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon 3DS. 3DS, mobile gaming, don't care. Rainbow Six Patriots. When was the last time Rainbow Six was good? Seriously? Remember Me. Looks like a good game. It's from Capcom. Fuck Capcom. Not getting it. Shin Megami Tensei Soul Hackers. Shin Megami Tensei is a love it or hate it series. I don't... Actually, for me, not exactly. I'm just more like, meh. Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank. They're all sort of the same thing. And if I wanted to play a present-day Sly Cooper game, I'd play Infamous, which I have in the box right over there, which I loved. So actually, you know, maybe I'll look into it, but it's not in my top 10. Or not in a must-have list for me. Soul Sacrifice, no idea what it is. I assume it's from Capcom. Is it? I don't know. Whatever. It's an RPG. Maybe it's... no, that's from Nipponichi, isn't it? Yes, either way, don't care. StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm. I could do an entire video on all the problems I have with StarCraft 2. So let's not get into that now. Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider hasn't been good in a long time. I think the only good recent ones were the ones that were remakes of the originals. But this one looks interesting. I mean, it looks like they're going for more of the Nathan Drake approach to it, and I thought Uncharted is one of my favorite series of this entire generation. Uncharted is fantastic, and if you haven't played it, I definitely recommend playing it. I even liked the first one, and a lot of people didn't. It's the same way with Assassin's Creed. You know, lots of people didn't like the first one, but everyone loves the second one. Uncharted is the same way, but I like the first one on both of those series. Under Night Rebirth, another generic anime fighting game. I mean, it's from the not Arcana Hearts. It's from the Melty Blood guys, which means it'll probably be great to play. But anime games, they last like 2 weeks here in America. Who cares? At least on the East Coast. And I know someone on like Roku is gonna get upset by me for that comment, but whatever. Watch Dogs looks nice. Doesn't look like it's coming out in 2013. I mean, the technology in that demo they showed at the last E3 was far and beyond anything available in the current generation. So I just don't see that coming out on the current generation. If it comes out on PCs, it's going to require a powerhouse. Plus, it's an Ubisoft game, so it's probably programmed poorly. So I'm not really caring that much. Alright, so now that we're done with that, I guess we can get I guess we can get started on my top 10 list, and these videos are ordered by their release date. So here we go.
This Oliver, this savior, I will taint his heart with the blackness of despair.
Shadara stole a piece of her heart. I defied him, and to punish me, he did this.
Then we have to help her. We have to make her heart whole again. She's not in pain because a piece of her heart was stolen. It's because you gave up fighting.
You realize nobody stands up to Shadar and survives, don't you? I can't believe.
Alright, so obviously you can tell from the video that that's Ni no Kuni. Ni no Kuni comes out, I believe, January 22nd, if I'm recalling correctly. This, of course, is one of the many games from Namco that's on my list. I talked about in the previous video how many of the games on my list are from Namco. And, you know, the game has not been getting great reviews in Japan. They've just been good. But there's not really bad reviews. But at the same time, we don't get many RPGs in America. So we don't really have the taste for RPGs that the Japanese do these days. So because of our lack of RPGs, as Americans, we may think it's better than it actually is. So I'm expecting to enjoy this game, especially since it keeps a pretty basic RPG system. And it looks like my camera's already starting to stutter, so it looks like in the future videos I'll have to go down to 720p. But the game, as you see, it's made by Level 5, which is basically one of the greatest RPG makers right now. I mean, they are what Square was back in the 90s, where everyone was like, oh my god, a new RPG from Square. Now it's, oh my god, a new RPG from Level 5, because they produce nothing but other amazing pieces of amazing stuff. I don't know what the opposite of a piece of shit is, but whatever. But it's the exact opposite of a piece of shit. These games are amazing. It's from Level 5, and I am definitely looking forward to it. But now that actually timed pretty perfectly, so here we go with the next one.
Peggy 12.
And this trailer is a bit longer. Oh no, this is a different game. Okay, SimCity, obviously.
I'm the creative director on the new SimCity, and I'm really excited to share this exclusive look into the exciting things we're working on here in the studio. SimCity's always been a game about creating cities and building worlds while trying to outsmart the simulation. It's a model-like world where your imagination can be totally unleashed. You get to poke, prod, tinker, and toy around in a simulated world that is dynamic and unpredictable. Want to see what else the building can do? Click on it and see what your options are. SimCity is the ultimate construction set. Maybe you want to build a town with a university, a couple stadiums, boutiques, a baseball diamond, and some parks. All in the shape of a guitar, because you're a rock star. Uh-oh, maybe you rock too hard. Looks like your city layout caused massive traffic jams. SimCity's a living and breathing world, and the consequences of every action you take creates an engaging, fun experience. By playing, you can actually learn something about how real cities behave.
Alright, so, you know, let's stop listening to that guy for now. But I could probably do a 10-minute segment on my critiques on these trailer videos. And it's because, and basically it all branches out to how I feel about SimCity 4. And I'm seeing a lot of the mistakes that they did with SimCity 4 in this new SimCity, which they're calling SimCity, but we all know it's SimCity 5. It's going to be SimCity 2013, whatever. But like, right here they're showing on the screen the whole region system, and the region system was the biggest problem with SimCity 4. I mean, as coming off of like SimCity 2, let's not pretend SimCity 3 even existed. From what I hear, Will Wright, the creator of SimCity, he had nothing to do with SimCity 3, and if you talk to him about SimCity 3, he'll be like, I don't acknowledge that game. Apparently, while the game was being developed, you weren't allowed to talk to him about that game. It was a pretty sour note in his history. Alright, so, you know, the whole region system, I want to be a mayor. I want SimCity, not Sim Region. I didn't want to have to build these other cities. I wanted to build one city and then have the whole network of cities around it like you had in SimCity 2000. And what SimCity 4 made you do was build these outlier cities that had specialization before you can make your main city. And it was like, come on, who wants to do this shit? But a lot of the things I've seen in the videos seem to make the game easier to play, and that is definitely nice. But there's also another problem. As much as I'm anticipating this game, if I get it, I will have to crack it. Okay, you saw what the next video was, but let's keep talking about SimCity. If you get the game, if I get the game, I have to crack it. It's that simple, because no one wants to use EA Origins. That system, I don't care if it's a good system. I don't want to have to be online to play my games. And they're doing something even worse with SimCity, where there are no save files. There are no save files on your computer. You can only store the save files in the cloud on EA Origin service. So if you're playing a game and your internet goes down, too bad, you just lost your city. What? So, you know, I'll buy the game, but I will crack it, because fuck Origin, and sue me, whatever. Alright, next game.
ずっと会いたかったってばよ。かっちゃん。
Another game from Namco Bandai on my list.
あなたを
Comes out in March, I believe.
力が溢れる。今ならいける。
俺は一人じゃない。だから俺は負けない。
私の飼っている2尾の方がお前の数倍じゃ邪魔だ。今の私は捨てるぞ。
お前とはくぐった修羅場の数が違うんだ。
Alright, I've always been a big fan of the Rudiment series ever since it started on the PlayStation 2. I've actually not liked the GameCube and the, I think they released some of the later ones on the Wii series. I thought those games were utter garbage. They weren't really there to be taken as a serious fighter. Neither are these games, but these games were a lot more legit, a lot more well balanced, and a lot more skill intensive than those games. But when the PlayStation 3 came out, CyberConnect 2, who is one of my favorite developers, they made this new engine that they're using in all their fighting games now, including Dot Hack Versus and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I said I would mention. And this new 3D engine hasn't been quite as competitive as the PlayStation 2 2D engine they had. They went 3D for style because this is all in-game and this is amazing shit. But it really doesn't leave a competitive game. And in the last game, which was Ultimate Ninja Generations, I believe it was called, they actually managed to make the system more competitive. They said, you know, Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 was a great game, but it was not good on a competitive level, so they made Generations. And Generations was made strictly for the tournament level player. That's what I feel, because there was no single player content in that game. It was all for multiplayer. And they refined the system and made it so well. And if they keep that system and improve on it even more for this game, it's going to be fantastic once again. And as I said, Generations did not have much of a single player. Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 had the best single player in the history of fighting games. And people are going to say it's Mortal Kombat 9. That's because they haven't played Ultimate Ninja Storm 2. Ultimate Ninja Storm 2, the single player experience is better than some of the single player RPGs that I've played. It is phenomenal how good it is. I mean, I show specific battles to people and they're like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is better than the anime. Look at this shit looks amazing, it looks better than the anime. And they didn't bring that back for Generations. But if they combine the single player of Ultimate Ninja 2 and the multiplayer of Ultimate Ninja Storm Generations into one game, Ultimate Ninja Storm 3, this game could be absolutely fantastic. And if they do the same thing for JoJo's, that game could be absolutely fantastic as well. I'm still waiting for Dot Hack Link, not Dot Hack Link, Dot Hack Versus to release in America. I actually spoke with the producer of CyberConnect 2 at Comic-Con a few months back. I did an interview with him, but sadly it was my first time ever doing an interview, and the audio got lost, so I lost that interview. I'm sorry. We'll get it better next time, and I can really see that the camera is failing on me here now. But I asked him about Dot Hack Versus, and he pretty much laughed at me, which I assume to mean the game isn't coming to America. So if you want that, you'll have to import it. But you can tell by how I'm gushing about the Ultimate Ninja series. I love it. It's fantastic. And if you're really interested on the tournament side and the competitive side and the high-level side of the Ultimate Ninja series, you should check out shishirendan.com, shishi-rendan.com. That site is made by my friend Rockman KB. He's an old player from New York. He's on a crew called Ambu. Anyway, that's a pretty awesome website. Alright, let's go on to my next video. Love that game trailer's logo. Everyone expected to see this game on the list.
Hello. Hey! Knock it off! Stop it! Will you stop it? Not here to hurt you.
Who are you?
My name is DeWitt. I'm a friend.
I gotta say, that girl is fearless. You know, some guy breaks into her living space, her library or whatever, and she just starts attacking him rather than running. Oh, she has no pinky. I never noticed that. She probably uses it to turn the pages, you know. But you've all seen this video, so there's no reason for me to full screen it anymore. It's BioShock Infinite. Everyone's waiting for it. The game looks fantastic. The first BioShock was amazing. The second BioShock was not made by those people, so let's pretend that game doesn't exist. If you know me, you know I don't like the idea of cash-in games, especially when those cash-in games are not made by the same people who make the original game. And this happens all the time. It's one of the reasons why I'm not really a fan of the I can't remember the other studio that does the Call of Duty games, not Infinity Ward, Treyarch. Like, those games, I feel like they're total cash-ins. Like, Infinity Ward does all the work, and then Treyarch changes a few things, adds a new story, and then they call the game their own. Fuck that. You know, and they're usually not as good. And if they are just as good, it's because they changed nothing. And so, you know, I've talked about this before as well, where I say that people don't know what makes something popular. They don't know what makes one game better than another game. They just know that this game was popular, so let's make a sequel. And they're going to change things, and they're going to change the things that people liked and keep the things that people didn't like. And it's like, why are you doing that? It's because people don't know why something becomes popular. It has a lot to do with luck. And I don't think they quite understood what made BioShock 1 so popular, and then they made BioShock 2 with a ham-fisted multiplayer that was attached on last minute, and that's another one of my big problems with this generation. Not every game needs multiplayer. I like single player, as you guys have gotten from my previous videos. I don't want a tacked on multiplayer. And when the developers of this game said, we're not doing multiplayer, I said, yes, this is going to be a good game. You know why? Because every dollar that goes into multiplayer is a dollar that's not going into single player. It's that simple. I don't care if it's different teams. It's all about budget. And one section will take the budget away from another section. It is blurry. Alright, I don't need to keep playing the rest of that video. You guys know it. And I have. That's all I really have to say about BioShock. I don't know what this next game is.
What if it's true?
Do I need to remind you what is out there?
Once upon a time, I had somebody that I cared about. And in this world, that sort of shit's good for one thing. Getting you killed.
I need something smuggled out of the city. Just cargo, Joel.
I just want some simple gear, enough to set me on my way.
I reckon it's got something to do with that girl.
It's got everything to do with that little girl.
It can't be any worse than in here. Can it?
Alright, so if you guys have been watching my stream, you know that I just played The Walking Dead. This game is pretty much, well, The Walking Dead, clearly, I liked the story. I thought the game sucked. So this is a game from Naughty Dog. You know, people who actually make good games. I talk about how much I love the Uncharted series. And so it looks like they're doing basically the Walking Dead story with some changes, of course. You know, you can't exactly copy it because are they zombies? We don't know yet.
You know that, right?
And it looks like mostly the people he's up against are other people, not zombies. I don't generally like zombies anyways. But I've got nothing against survival stories. I just got something against zombies. But, you know, this game, it looks like it's going to be The Walking Dead with an actual good game behind it. And I love me some Uncharted. And this game looks great. I know you guys, like everyone in the comments on YouTube had almost everyone had mentioned The Last of Us. Everyone wants it. It's it's shaping up to a beautiful cinematic game, and if you've played Uncharted, you know what you're walking into. All right, next game. Let's see what it is. Now, at this point, I think the rest of the videos don't have release dates, so they're gonna go by alphabetical order probably. And I don't know what they are. Okay, now I know what this is. It's the Ellen Page simulator from Quantic Dream.
I found you by the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. Was there an accident? Did someone try to hurt you? How about a name? Someone I could contact? You must have family, friends, someone who could tell me who you are.
Now, in my Walking Dead video, I actually spoke about Heavy Rain and how I thought it was actually a really good game. If you can get past, the really bad voice acting and the shoddy writing, the story itself was actually really good. And there is a difference between story and writing. The game, you can say it's a QuickTime event simulator, but we've talked about this in previous videos. I don't really care that much about gameplay as long as it's competent. And the game was a QuickTime event simulator. I haven't had this big problem with QuickTime events that most people have. But then again, I don't really play the games that would have out of context QuickTime events where you're watching a cutscene and then it makes you get up. Heavy Rain didn't do that. The gameplay was the QuickTime events, so nothing felt out of place with the QuickTime events.
Because next time,
I'll
kill everyone.
It looks like they've seen the mistakes they did with Heavy Rain, the bad voice acting, the bad writing, and they've gone with Hollywood this time. They've got Hollywood actors, Hollywood writers. Watch the extended scene. BeyondPS3.com, huh? And so they've gone to all that. And, maybe people won't treat it as badly as they treated Heavy Rain. And I mean, what more can I say about Heavy Rain except I think I really do. Heavy Rain is another one of those games like The Walking Dead where thinking about the game afterwards, the game is better than while you were playing it. Like Walking Dead, as I was playing it, I was like, this game is ass. I don't like this. This is dumb. And then, you play the game, you beat the game. The next day, you're like, that game was pretty good. And Heavy Rain is one of those same types of games where, except I didn't think it was ass. I thought, this game is good. And then over time, my mental impression of it from good became great. And it just left such a good lasting impression that at this point I have to put it at my game of the generation. It's the best game I've played on the PS3 ever. You guys probably disagree with me. Alright, next video. Oh yeah, everyone's hyped for this one, especially if you watch our Dark Souls Wednesdays.
Forever without hope. Forever without light.
So, Dark Souls 2. When it comes down to it, when Dark Souls 1 came out, I I was from the start saying I think Demon Souls was a better game, and most people were like, "You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. This is so much better than Demon Souls." And over time, people have come to realize that, yeah, I was right. I'm generally always right about these things. You guys just don't realize it because I see it immediately, and you always think I'm wrong. And then afterwards, given enough time, you all come to agree with me, even if you don't even know that's what you're doing. You all agree with me. Dark Souls was not as good as Demon Souls, but Dark Souls was still a good game. Oh, by the way, this game is also from Namco. It's one of 4 games on this list from Namco, I believe. Yes, that is true. 4 games on this list from Namco. So, you know, Dark Souls 2, there are some worries. First of all, it's not by Hidetaka, I can't remember his last name. It's in Japanese, so, you know, it's hard to remember these things. Who's the guy who did those? Who's the artist for Ni no Kuni? It's he's got the same last name or first name, depending on, you know, surnames, and they're backwards in Japan, or we're backwards here in America. Whatever, moving on. But there are worries because it's not being made by that guy. It's being made by like his assistant, and the assistant has said that he wants to make the game more accessible, and people are construing that the wrong way. They're thinking accessible means easy. No, what accessible means is the controls aren't as complicated. You play Dark Souls, you play Demon Souls, the entire first level is nothing but a barrage of tutorial input statements, and you never remember what half of them are. I mean, some of them I don't even realize that I had the ability until like 8 hours into the game, and I do it by accident. I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? You know, I didn't know you could run and jump for the first 5 hours of the game, so I had no idea how to get that item in the far corner near the beginning of the game. And you know, he says more accessible means he wants to reach a wider audience, which is another problem people don't like, is because I made a post about this on 8-Way Run. Someone asked, I forgot who it was, why games seem like they're getting worse. And I actually have to disagree with them. I think, you know, if people put down the glasses of nostalgia, the games you had as a child aren't as good as you think they were. The games we have now are far and away better than we had 10, 15, 20 years ago. The difference is there's more exposure. Because we have the internet, we have video games on TV and prime time, we're exposed. But like only 10% of games back then were any decent. It's why you have things like an entire parking lot paved over filled with NES cartridges. Because, not NES, is it NES? Whatever. Or it's Atari cartridges, sorry. And you know, there were bad games back then too. It's just you didn't see all of them. So, even today, only 10% of the games are any decent. It's, you know, it's just that the games we do have that are good are far and away better than everything else. So I said nostalgia is one of the problems. People think that games aren't as good as they used to be. And number 2, I said, is because hipster mentality. I've done my best to get rid of my nostalgia glasses, but I am definitely a hipster, and I'm having a hard time getting rid of my hipster mentality. It's why things like, oh, I liked Assassin's Creed 1, I liked Uncharted 1, because I liked those games before you did, before you liked Assassin's Creed 2, before you liked Uncharted 2, before you liked Demon Souls, before you liked Dark Souls, I liked Demon Souls. And that's one of the reasons why people don't like the idea of games being more accessible, because that means a wider audience. That's a wider group of people who didn't play the first game, wider group of people who weren't there for you at the beginning, a wider group of people. And you know, people don't like that. But what they don't understand is a wider group of people means more people. That's a good thing for the community, but it is something very hard to get away from, even for me. And I admit to that. I'm a fucking hipster. I was a hipster before the rest of you were hipsters. That's how hipster I am. Next video. I told you there would be at least one game on this list none of you have heard of. And that is literally all we've got. I've got nothing about that game except that. If you guys are into city builders like SimCity, you may have heard of Tilted Mill. Tilted Mill are the people who did the Pharaoh and Caesar series, and I think they did another one based on Greece. I forgot what it was called. Zeus, it was called. And these games were very similar to SimCity, except there was military engagements because it was back during the the Bronze and Iron Ages. And they were a lot of fun, probably even more fun than SimCity because of that. And it didn't work the same way SimCity does, where there were radiuses. So you build like a police station, and the police station only affected a radius. The way the Tilted Mill games were, you'd build a prefect station, prefects for polices, and a prefect would actually walk out of the post and walk along the street, and any street he walked along would be helped by him. So it would increase the safety to maximum of any building he walked past. And that was the same way with religious buildings and people who lived there. There was watering holes. They had to walk past the watering holes, and it became a lot about pathing and upgrading your stuff. You can see sort of things like it with games like Anyo, Dawn of Discovery. They just made Dawn of Discovery 2407. 2070, that's what it's called. It's been on Steam for the past couple of days for $20. It's great. I don't think it was as good as Dawn of Discovery, but Dawn of Discovery is not available on Steam because fuck Steam. And I've been waiting for a new Tilted Mill game for almost a decade, probably longer than a decade now. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it is longer than a decade. I think it's been about 15 years now. And they've been, after they stopped doing the 2D, isometric style city builder, they actually went to this 3D thing called Alexandria, I think it is, something to do with Egypt, and it's so bad. And they said with this new one, Medieval Mayor, they're actually going back to the isometric style. So I am looking forward to it, and that's going to be one of my day one purchases. Absolutely. Even if the game's probably going to suck. Who am I kidding? Tilted Mill is a shitty company who can't produce good games. But I'm looking forward to it anyways because we have a real dearth of good city build. Dearth means lack of, right? I'm not sure. I hope I'm using that term correctly. Of city build games, and we need more. There are games like Cities XL, and that game is just awful. Fuck that. Next video. And the last Capcom game on my list.
"やはりジンの力かもしれない。確かめる必要があるな。
人は願いを胸に抱き、叶えばと空を見上げる。精霊と人が暮らすこのリーゼマクシアでは、皆がそうして暮らす。
Alright, so if you watched my final thoughts on The Walking Dead, the game, you should have expected to see this game on my list somewhere. I am a huge fan of the Tales series ever since my friend Ben actually bought me my first Tales game, Tales of Destiny, for the PS1 back in the day. And since then, I have another friend, Neo Outlaw, who some of you guys may remember from the Soul Calibur 2 days, who has introduced me to the big, wide world of Tales games. And I have gone full-fledged. I've played so many Tales games, even ones that haven't been released in America yet, or ever, because they won't be, like Tales of Destiny 2, or Tales of Rebirth. These are great games, and they will never get released in America. It really sucks. But I also spoke about in those previous videos on how I did not like some of the more recent Tales games. I haven't played Tales of Grace's F yet. I don't know why, because I didn't even realize it came out. You know, it was so low key. I haven't played the Xbox exclusive, because I don't have an Xbox, at least not an Xbox I can play games on. And you know, I think Tales of the Abyss and Tales of Symphonia, which people who had GameCubes were like, these games are amazing. They're the two worst Tales games I have ever played. They are fucking awful. You know, if you liked those games, go back and play some other Tales games. Play Tales of Fantasia. Play Tales of Eternia. Play Tales of Destiny. Play Tales of Legendia. And then, once you've played all those other games, go back to Abyss and Symphonia and play them again. I guarantee you will not be able to get through it. I've done this to like 5 or 6 people now, and none of them have been able to get through it because these games are bad. And I think the core problem is once they left the 2D engine and went 3D for the combat engine, it really went downhill. It's the same problem I had with CyberConnect 2's Ultimate Ninja series. Once they left 2D to 3D, it went downhill because now they had a new engine to build and completely refine. While they had spent 10 years refining the 2D engine, or the Tales series, 15 years refining the 2D engine, and now they're using a new engine that was ultimately flawed. It's taken them a long time to refine it, and from what I hear, Tales of Xillia is the highest rated Tales game ever released. So, and I hear the last one for the Xbox was really good, so it seems as if they've actually refined that 3D engine finally to a point where it can compare to how good those old 2D games were. And so I'm definitely looking forward for Tales of Xillia. Why is it last on the list? I'm pretty sure that game comes out in like 3 months. I'm not sure. I hope I didn't give something. Anyway, maybe it doesn't have a release date announced yet. Now, if you guys are paying attention, you'll notice that there were only 9 trailers played. And that's because I actually couldn't think of a 10th game. In the previous video, I said, I got it. And what that game was The Last Guardian. And at this point, we know that The Last Guardian is not coming out. It is vaporware at this point. Team Eco is pretty much disbanded. That game is not coming. And if it does, no one's going to expect it because we've heard nothing from that game in half a decade. And we've been waiting so long. So I guess if I had to put a 10th game on the list, a must-have, out of all the games I mentioned before, there were no must-haves. But there is one must-have that I have to mention, and I think it's a bit cheating because the game already came out on other platforms, and that would be, you know, I'm blanking out on the name now. It's, let me find, what the, you know, you put me on the spot like this, and I forget the games. It's on Steam Greenlight right now. And the game is already available on like Congregate. It's available on iTunes or iPad, whatever their game store is called, because Apple sucks. Greenlight, let's see. Let's see what we got. Greenlight. I voted on one item. Well, let's see what that item is. Can I click and say your submissions? There we go. No submissions. Okay. Yeah, yay. Thank God Steam is such a great piece of software. I fucking love Steam. I'm being sarcastic, of course. I fucking hate Steam. Games. Maybe I guess I have to keep refreshing until it shows up. But it's York in the queue, recent submissions, friends, favorites. Greenlit. Okay. I don't know if it's been greenlit. It's not Dragon's Lair. Ew, the Octodad? What the hell? Items you voted for. How did I miss that? There we go. Kingdom Rush. Finally remember what it is. Like I said, this is cheating because the game already came out. But, you know, this is different because this is for Steam. And, you know, this is going to be an actual game instead of Flash. They're remaking the entire game. And I really like, this is the type of game where if I'm bored while I'm streaming an event somewhere, I will actually open up Congregate and start playing Kingdom Rush. because it is just a fantastic game. It's one of the best tower defense games I've ever played, and I cannot wait for it to actually come out on Steam instead of being on Flash. So, thank you for watching. I actually got this. I spoke about how I interviewed the guy from CyberConnect 2. I also interviewed one of the guys from the Tales series, and they gave me this, a mug for Tales of Xillia, exclusive, only went out to press from what I hear. And this is a great mug. It's kind of small because the Japanese people, apparently they don't drink a lot of tea or coffee, and they have these tiny ass cups. I'm used to drinking out of 2-liter bottles. Alright, well, thank you for watching. You know what, I should probably do a rundown and say you can always watch me streaming live when I play video games at twitch.tv/8wayrun. Sometimes I upload videos to my YouTube. Generally all the tournaments are uploaded. I've been uploading. I upload The Walking Dead. I upload Dark Souls. Generally, the single-player experiences that are shorter. I'm not going to upload a 50-hour-long game. I'll upload the shorter experiences to YouTube, and of course, follow me on Twitter. I'll, whenever I go live, I'll post something to Twitter. It's good stuff. Why is my YouTube inbox open? We don't need that open. And anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.